go for the real deal New England feel.
I went off the rails. I might so now to be ashamed of myself.
You should be ashamed of yourself.
Corso and Catone.
Welcome to Corso and Catone, the real deal New England feel. I'm Corso. Catone's not here, but Joe is there. Here's Joe sitting in for Catone today, out of the booth and on the camera. Welcome, Joseph.
Late minute scratch, and here we are.
That's it. We're ready to go, and you are ready to go watching us on YouTube, listening on iHeartRadio, Apple Podcast, anywhere you podcast. And make sure when you're on YouTube, you subscribe, give us that thumbs up, like the show. That's what we're looking for. Leave a comment and all of that. We got a good one today. Going to go weekly rewind, talk about that Patriots win. That they eked out that win against the Falcons last week, 24-23. We're going to discuss that in weekly rewind. And we're going to have our own little version of Catone's comments, so stick around for that. I don't know. Maybe we'll make it a Corso's crisis today, Joe.
It'll be something.
A little bit. I'm irritated about a couple things, so we'll discuss that when the time comes. And, of course, B's and C's. We're going to talk Bruins and Celtics. One team is going in a direction we didn't expect, so stick around for that. Joe, how you feeling today?
Happy Saturday. Well, this is actually a live show, so right now.
Yeah, we are going live on Saturday. So you can see all the games behind and all for all the fans there and so on. But let's we need to get into that Patriots game. We need to discuss that, talk about the week that was, and we're going to do it in Weekly Rewind whenever you're ready. Going back through the week, about a weekly rewind.
Last time they tried what they thought was a safe third down pass that Jalen Walker knocked down. They are throwing. May to the outside. Got a man. First down. Henry inbounds. And that will do it. Mike Vrabel, Josh McDaniels. Confidence in Drake Maye. Third down, and they are rewarded with their 6th consecutive victory.
So that, of course, was the CBS call of the final play of the game where the Patriots were able to ice the victory 24-23 by the skin of their ass, Joe. Pacaromo, who, isn't it ironic that we were bitching about the place kicker at the beginning of the season where he missed the first 2 extra points, and we were like, why didn't you keep the other guy that outkicked them in camp?
Right.
Well, it happened to be that guy that missed the extra point for the Falcons.
Yeah.
To not tie the game, and we eked out that victory. So 24-23. So, Joe, let's talk first. Let's talk about Drake Maye like we usually do.
Yeah.
Not his best game. Not a great game.
Not a great game at all. But I like that it wasn't a great game in this situation for him, because it definitely, the mumbling started to talk. You started hearing the mumbling in the media about people talking about can he do it when he's down? Can they do it when they're down? In that sort of situation. So this was seemed like a minuscule situation of them. Can they come back in a deficit, But I definitely don't want that to be the norm for them moving forward. You know what I mean?
No, we definitely don't want this to be the trend. With what's happening.
I asked you last week about McDaniels was whether or not he has that pattern of starting slow. And I remember used to seeing that with, Belichick and Brady. And I was like, I don't like when they do that, because they don't play well when they're in a deficit. And they start a lot of games like that. And I'm like, don't start that rhythm with this team,
Yeah. Well, I mean, look, and when it comes to Drake Maye, I mean, he was 19-29. Obviously, it wasn't his best performance, but he still threw for 221 yards, and he was still over 100 passer rating for the day. I forget what. I think it was. I can tell you in a second, but it was over 100. So he's now on that list. With it's Peyton Manning, Tom Brady, Aaron Rodgers, and him.
Yeah,
8 straight games with 100+ passer rating, 200+ yards, throwing the ball. So he's still getting it done. But what I saw in this game from him, obviously it all comes down to protecting the ball better. You know, this is the thing. You know, I mean, that play, you know, it was 21-7 at the half, coming into that last drive of the half. And I always talk about, with you and Mark, winning the middle 6, winning the middle 8. You know, win that 4 minutes before the half, and then 4 minutes coming out of the third quarter. You win that, you 78% or so of the time, if you're number nerds out there that like the numbers.
The analytics.
Yeah, you usually win that game about 70-80% of the time. They didn't do that this week because on that last drive, Maye drops back. He's careless with the ball, holding it low. They strip the ball, and they picked it up, and they end up scoring before the half. And Vrabel says, "Oh, we went to sleep." So he was definitely careless with the ball. There was a misread at some point. I think it was I want to say it was in the second quarter as well, where, you know, it looked like Hunter Henry was supposed to run a seam route, didn't cut it off. Drake Maye through the seam. It ends up being picked. And then you saw him sped up a little bit. So to me, when I watch him in this game, and I'm with you, I get it. I mean, a lot of the people right now are looking at, want to be glasses half full and say, okay, hey, look, we got to see him with adversity. We got to see him screw up in the game, and then he was still able to kind of keep his composure and put a couple of drives together. Except the only problem is he was 8 of 14 in the second half, Joe. So that's a, you know, he was 8 of 14. His second half was a poor passer rating, you know. And so I wonder what is it that's happening out there? Is it the pressure? Is it the time? He's been sacked 12 times in the last 2 games.
It's overall looking at, you know, the front line. I thought, you know, what I said last time about Campbell, I wasn't, you know, giving him any slack at all because I wanted to see better. This week, I actually saw better out of him, out of that side. And so the amount of pressure that Maye got, it seemed as though you know, the defense was just doing their job. You know what I mean? So
yeah,
that's often one of those situations where you want to see them start to do well when that happens, instead of a situation like with the Browns where it's just one guy getting in there, one guy. You want to see a whole defense cause some pressure for them to start to adapt to that sort of situation. You know what I mean? Better than they have at the beginning of the season. But I thought this is what Greg Bedard of the Boston Sports Journal had to say about the let me see if I can find it here. Talking about the protection.
Drake is a part of these issues. It didn't need to be 6 sacks last week. It should have been 2 or 3, and Drake factors into that. Drake factored into at least 2 sacks that I saw today, where, you know, and I'm not gonna rip him for it because it's tough. I mean, he did have some underneath stuff where it's like, all right, you get to 1, 2, 2.5, then you have to know where your checkdowns are, whether it's a back in the flat, whether that's Steph Diggs right in front of you. He's got to do a little bit better job of that.
Yeah. So, and he's right. I mean, during the game, I was talking to Mark. I'm like, I have him responsible for like 30 to 40% of the pressures. I got Drake Maye responsible for because he's holding on to that ball a little too long.
Now it's
people say, well, you know, is he trying to pad his stats? Is he worried about his stats? He's not worried about his stats. He's not worried about holding the ball. I don't want to throw any completion here. It screws up my stats. Yeah. That's not happening out there. What's happening is, okay, and this is the thing. And we'll hear from Drake Maye in a second, but not live.
Not live.
Not live. But you know,
he called into the show and let us know there's a few things.
We turned them down. So what I see when I'm looking at Maye play and him holding the ball too long, I see guys that aren't getting open. Now,
right.
There are times. See, there's a reason why. And Mark and I talked about this week. There's a reason why guys, if you listen to the media this week and you're listening to all this and they're trying to put their finger on why is he getting sacked so much? The offensive line, like you said, you know, you're struggling to put your finger on it too. Well, the defense is playing better as a whole, you're saying, and, you know, you like to see that and so on. You know, is it really the offensive line? Are they really playing that bad? Is it really May? No, what's happening is this is where you see the lack of talent on the outside. This is where it comes in, where you don't. And this is this is our soapbox. I mean, this is what Mark and I bitch about constantly. Yeah. Okay, so we're always going to default there. But it's true. Think about it. You got guys on the outside. If you can't get any separation, Atlanta's a good man coverage team, okay? They can lock up against you. And if you can't get any separation with your wide receiver, the quarterback's got nowhere to throw the ball. Right. Now, some of those times he does have places to throw the ball. Now, I saw he wasn't hitting his checkdowns. I could see Trevion Henderson bleeding out into the flat, and he's just not hitting that, Joe.
Right.
But
the
lack of
– we didn't go into depth about that last week where, you know, a couple of Henderson sweeps and such and checkdowns that he had. That you go, okay, this guy, we found it, what he can do well. And they didn't utilize that this time around.
Yeah. And even though he's great against the blitz, I mean, his numbers against the blitz are good, Drake Maye. But the problem is when in the times that he's holding the ball and there's really not a lot of separation, I mean, 23-year-old Drake Maye and 27-year-old Drake Maye are going to see the field a little different. There's such things called NFL open versus college open, meaning a wide receiver open in the NFL is open by maybe a yard. Right. You know, it's separation. And you just got to be able to, you got to have the eggs to just deliver the ball there. Just get it out. Go.
I think that he can. I think he does have the eggs. The only person I see doing that is Diggs. That's where the veteran type of wide receiver comes into play on his behalf.
He trusts him more than anybody.
But he doesn't necessarily always look for him though either. Yeah. And that's the thing. You could see Diggs is, if you zoomed out and you saw Diggs is the only one conscious of, okay, he's in my quarterback's in trouble. I need to go and find an open space where nobody else is doing that. Even though that, like you said, that separation might be a yard or two. I feel like Drake Maye can nail that, and he does, and he has in the past. But like nobody else is doing that for him. Who's closest? He has to split out.
Either they're not doing it. Okay, either they're not working back to him or working their scramble drill procedures, whatever they put in place, or they're just not good enough. You know, when Booty went out of this game, okay, it was noticeable. I mean, you could see it. Now, where's the threat? And Booty's not even one of the top receivers in the league or anything, but he's his guy. He's his deep guy. Yeah. When he went out of the game, it was a scramble to figure out where am I going with the ball. There's nothing downfield anymore, you know, at that point. Right. And so, to me, the better talent you get on the outside, that's why it seems weird to everybody. Well, why is he getting sacked so much? I don't understand. I mean, it doesn't make any sense to me because, you know, the offensive line didn't play that bad, and Maye's okay. Maye's pretty good against blitz. He's real good against blitz. What? It's because you don't have that separation on the outside. You can't force defenses to play different. You can't force defenses to play different type of coverage, bracket coverage, things like that, because you don't have guys that's needed on. You don't need to bracket anybody, any coverage on anybody. So you're always got somebody else to be coming after him, you know, if that makes sense. And so to me, that was one of the.
Let me ask you this though, as a defensive coach, for yourself, looking at their defense, did they expose things that are good for our offense?
Well, when Booty went out of the game, okay, they were able to understand that, okay, we could play more flat foot reads here. So we could sit there and not pedal out, like really have to gain a ton of depth and stretch, because I'm not worried about the Patriots being able to stretch the field on us.
Right. Okay.
You know, downfield. So I could just sit a little closer to the line of scrimmage. I can get body up on some of these wide receivers, some of these tight ends and backs. But again, Drake Maye missed some guys. I mean, this is what he had to say after the game.
Yeah. First, I should play better. Man, I got to play better for this team. Down the road. I think. It's tough. It's tough in a game where you win, and you can feel in that locker room that these guys know we can play better. And I think it's a good feeling to have, but also at the same time, it's tough to win in this league. So you got to enjoy it. And Hunt made a big play down on the sideline, 5 minute shoot. We didn't want to make the defense, make another stop for us, again. And there's so much things to learn from this game, and I'm just proud of this team doesn't matter if it's 24-23 or 3-2. So proud we got the win.
About your game, did you not like today that you want to?
Yeah, I think 21-7 really got a chance to get some more points into halftime, and free rusher. I got first thing to do. I just told our quarterback coach, got to tuck the ball to the chest, and getting in a bad habit of trying to break tackles on these guys that I don't have a great chance of breaking a tackle on. And then like I said, ball in the 50 around midfield, and not sure. I think we were up. Yeah, 24-14. Yeah, and wasn't on the same page with Hunt.
So he gets it. He sees it. I mean, he sees what's happening. The whole offense sees what's happening, and I think Josh McDaniels does too. Look, he just has to do a better job at taking those checkdowns. I mean, they're like number one in the league, or they're tops in the league at deep passes and throws down the field. They want to get the ball down the field, and I get that. Okay, but in this game, you got to take what they're giving you, and they gave you Henderson out of the backfield a lot in this game, and Drake Maye didn't take it. So yeah, he's responsible for some of these sacks. And that's why people can't put their finger on it. So I think if they can clean that up, if they can get it through in his head to say, hey, look, take what they give you. I mean, he doesn't want to be, he said, I don't want to be checked down Charlie. He said it a couple of weeks ago. Yeah. No, you don't. But you also don't want to take 6 sacks a game, because at some point you're going to go out of the game.
Right.
And so, exactly. So to me, that's, offensively, that's what we saw in this game a lot. We talked about the accuracy thing, the Booty going out. Booty's not going to be playing this week coming up. We'll talk about that tomorrow on the Pats Nation, that he's not going to be in there. Neither is Stevenson again. And by the way, the last thing I'll say, and we'll go to break, is they missed Stevenson's blitz pickup in this game, Ramondre Stevenson, badly. Yeah. That's something that was glaring too. Trevion Henderson, for all he was billed coming out of college, that he was blitz pickup, do it. Yeah, I haven't seen that yet. So, and the joke being on him is that he always likes to find contact, as you guys like to say. Yeah. So why not find it when the guy's coming into your face right there? Block him. So yeah, good point. So we'll see what happens this week, because I'm not going to be with either one of those guys, Booty or Stevenson, this week. But this portion of Weekly Rewind was presented by the Pats Nation. Sundays, 8 a.m. Eastern. Stick around tomorrow. Joe and I are going to be together with you, and we're going to have a full pregame breakdown of the Tampa game. Everybody's considering that the first big test. Listen to us so that we can let you know what to look for. When we come back, we're going to talk a little bit of defense, talk trade deadline, and what the Patriots didn't do. All that and more. Stick around.
Sundays are for football, and here in New England, that means it's the Pats Nation with Corso and Catone. Sundays, 8 to 9 a.m.
And the Patriots have one of the best run defenses in the league, yet, in like DVOA, they're still 28th in defense. That just tells you how bad their pass defense has been, especially against the teams that they played. One of my main criticisms about this team is I don't love the defensive system from these guys in Tennessee. They're known for being, pretty zone heavy. They can play man. They do play man, certainly in some key spots, and it works out well for them. But I do think that I think that more man coverage suits the personnel on this team, and I think they need to go to it. And then what we saw in the end zone today, or in the red zone against Drake London, that's a coaching decision. How are we going to play, these stacks? How are we going to play, where these guys are set up near each other? Are we going to switch? Are we going to lock coverage? Because there's pros and cons to everything. If you lock, then you could get rubbed. And, and you're talking about a wide open touchdown.
So that was Greg
rubbed.
Yeah, that was Greg Bedard of the Boston Sports Journal talking about the defense. And Joe, okay, lot to unwrap there. But I want to talk about the Patriots run defense. Okay, so this is they haven't allowed an individual rusher over 50. It was, I want to say 50 yards. They haven't allowed that all season long, and they didn't do it again in this game with Bijan Robinson, and we were concerned about that issue coming into the game. So, I mean, they're maintaining their good run defense, but again, this is another one of those perplexing things where, Bedard talks about it and says, they're great against the run, but DVOA, they're not, overall, they're not ranked real high. It just doesn't make a lot of sense. So, again, they did a great job in this game. They've only allowed rushing yards with 71 yards for Atlanta in this game.
Yeah, I think they averaged like 75 rushing yards a game.
Yeah, and so they held them under their average. They didn't allow Bijan Robinson to go off. I think he only had about 40 yards, something like that. 46 yards on 12 carries. So he was only 3.8 a carry. They only allowed 4.4 total, which isn't bad, but like you said, they held them under their average. So I was happy with the run defense. But there's some glaring things that are happening, with
one of which is my pet peeve. I got to jump in with this. It's like, why? What's the first thing you teach people how to tackle? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like, come on, what are they doing? I don't understand what they're doing out there. I'm like, are you doing some sort of move for like the highlight reel because you missed the guy? You know what I mean? It would be just better to tackle him instead of doing some dive, flip around, slide off the guy. They're always doing that. I don't understand what's happening.
If you're trying to teach tackling, do not look at the NFL.
Do not.
like when I talk to the kids about tackling and I'm teaching them how and what to do. I mean, I'm getting these kids when some of them have never done it before. And I say, do not look on Sundays, because Sundays, when you're watching NFL guys tackle, and there's a lot of business decisions being made out there on the field, as to how they put their body in jeopardy.
Explain that for a sec for our viewers and listeners. What do you mean by business decisions? I know what you mean. I want them to know, because it takes a different. It gives you a different perspective when you're going, come on. It's like you're doing that to pad your stats sort of situation, right? Is that what you're getting at?
No. Yes, but it's as far as protecting their body. As far as protecting their body and protecting each other out there a little bit. Believe it or not, there's kind of these unwritten rules of, what you do to an opposing player. Do you go at his knees, to tackle? Do you, you lay off that? If you notice, they all tackle high. They'll tackle up here near the chest, which is fine in the middle of the field.
Right.
Okay. Right. Interior. But when you get out to the edges, it's supposed to be low tackling. Thighs, eyes to the thighs. That's kind of how we teach it, lead foot, lead shoulder, take your lead shoulder, you wrap them up, and then roll and gator roll them. Well, you just see kill shots. You see guys coming up and just hitting. And there's no wrap of the arms.
Right.
Because when you wrap the arms, there could be some, there are potential injuries there.
Right.
When you hit guys in the knees, that's one of those things where it's like, we don't want to take guys out by their knees because we want these guys playing. I mean, there's a directive up from above that says, hey, this is a product. This is a business. This is a friggin' entertainment industry.
Right.
We keep having our guys go out. All the major players go out every week. Who the hell's going to watch? Right. So it's there is that going on out there, which is why you see all the ports. Sometimes you see the port tackling, in my opinion, to answer your question. But there were some things in this game that we should be concerned about. First, the red zone defense. They're the worst in the league in red zone. So if you get in the red zone against the Patriots, you're going to score.
Right.
I think the Falcons were, I want to say they were 3 for 3 in the red zone. And
that's right.
That's just not, that's something. Excuse me. Yeah, they were 3 for 3, Atlanta, in the red zone. So while some of the other numbers are great, I mean, they were 1 for 10 on third down. So getting them off the field on third down, okay, excellent job there. Fourth down, they were pretty good on. They were 2 of 3. Overall, not a bad day. But when I watch the red zone performance, that's something that bothers me. And the other thing too is why can't they get pressure with 4 guys? They just can't get consistent.
Is it the 4 guys, or is it the play call?
I mean, because they were running the 4-man front, and I think once the play's gone, it's man for man now out there.
Right.
So it's on the players. They're just not getting there. Milton Williams, Bondmore, Landry, Chason, and out of the 4 of them, the guy that you least expect to get consistent pressure would be Chason, and he's getting the most consistent pressure out of everybody. And I don't know if Landry's still hurt. I know he had a little bit of an injury. I don't know if he's still nursing that.
Chason's another one has a consistent slow start.
Yeah.
He kind of stumbles his way to starting to pick up some pressure and rhythm toward the middle of the game where he's now being effective. But he gets in at the beginning, like the last couple of games, he's gotten in and then just like dropped the ball by the time he's gotten to the quarterback or near the quarterback. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's just I'm just not seeing it. Like they're just, unless they bring heat, unless they bring pressure, extra guys, 5 guys, 6 guys, blitzes, guys coming off corners. Unless they're doing that, you're not seeing pressure on the quarterback. And that's going to be a problem as they start to play better teams.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So situations, the last couple of weeks where they run in safety or something like that, which I liked to see, but then you don't see it the rest of the game. It's like, somebody like an Ellis is one of those guys he's explosive. He's getting out of rhythm, but now he's going to be out this week. At least the last I looked. And somebody like Nico, he somehow sometimes finds a way to create an exciting play in that type of scenario, whether it's giving pressure or doing something. He'll come up with something, but it's not enough to keep the rhythm and that drive and that momentum for the rest of the defense to start doing the same thing. The other guys, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, again, we had one sack for 4 yards in this game. That just can't happen, especially against a guy and then the pass defense. What they allowed Drake London,
talk about Drake London. What's his story with him?
Well, Bedard mentioned some of this, and he talked about what they were doing with the stacks and things like that. So I mean, what he's talking about is, so you would see Drake, you would see them come out and go 2 wide, 2 wide receivers wide, and they'd be standing basically one behind the other. That's a stack look. So how are we playing that as a defense? Are we banjoing that? Are we? How are we handling that kind of a coverage? Are we gonna lock up and play man on the point, and then the 2 behind? And then it comes down to your talent level. So it looked to me like they didn't lock coverage on that, where they were saying, okay, he's mine, that's it. Because that can be tough too, doing that on a stack look, only because you can get rubbed out. Like, in other words, if one of the receivers could come out on the guy that's supposed to be covering the dude behind them and kind of block him, pick him, and then your guy ends up running free across the field, and you just can't catch up to him.
Right.
That happens a lot on those stack looks or those bunch formations, either the stack with the 2 guys or the 3 guys together in a bunch, the wide receivers. And that's what they were doing with Drake London. And they were putting him off the line. So when you have those kind of looks, there's always a receiver that's on the line of scrimmage and 2 guys that are off. Okay. Right. You can't press the off guy. You can't go head-to-head press and jam him at the line too bad. You can soft press him, but you can't jam him like that because he's off the line, or else you'd be offside. So they did a good job, Atlanta, in formation, and trying to free Drake London up. And what they also did a good job doing was getting Drake London on Marcus Jones, which was a huge mismatch in that situation. I mean, Drake London's like 6'4", something like that.
Yeah.
And Marcus Jones isn't, So, like,
that's where I see, like, in a situation like that, that's where I take to sort of answer your question of where it kind of comes from is getting an overall perspective like that and understanding it, and then seeing when they're talking to each other. And that's what I'm seeing is the missing element, is the communication of, like, you got this guy, I got this guy. That's it.
Right.
We know what's happening. You know what I mean? Like, if
Marcus
Jones is the target, they already should know that. You know what I mean?
Well, they didn't adjust to it.
And adjust. Yeah.
They that's what bothered me. Like when they played those stacks, when they played those bunch formations, like if me, I like playing the point. So, like, I'm gonna pick my weakest link and I'm gonna put him on the point man. So for me, I would have taken Marcus Jones and I would have put him head up man on the point, the first guy, the guy in the point, and then the two guys are behind him, or offset, sort of. That's where I'm putting him, because now he can't be exposed. I can't. Right. They can't get Drake. If Drake London's one of the guys behind, they can't match that up now. Now I know. Okay, I'm playing my Marcus Jones is my point man. He's jamming at the line. Okay, he's smaller, so the jam isn't going to be as great on that point receiver. But that's my guy. He's going to jam there, and I'm going to banjo the other two guys. Meaning, I'm going to take the other two receivers, and it's either going to be Gonzalez or Davis, depending on side of the field, and then another safety or a corner or whoever.
Right.
And I'm going to play first in, first out. Whoever goes out first, I got. Whoever comes in, I got. And that avoids the picking and the rubbing and all that stuff. And now I make sure that I have somebody on Drake London,
right,
that is a little physically able to cover him a little better than a guy that the height mismatch is just too great, So I didn't see that kind of stuff happening.
I think no, you didn't. And let me ask you this though: do you think it's because, and I probably know the answer to this, but like not doing a situation like that and not having Jones in that sort of layout, like you just said, which I think I would logically do myself, and I'm not a defensive guy.
It's not easy. I mean, it's not easy to get that look, but
he's got speed. Is my point? Is that, like, they probably don't do that because the guy lining up behind, probably more than likely has a little more speed than the guy lining on the line, and Jones is the only one who can kind of keep up, even though he's the smaller guy. And then that just tells me, okay, guess what we need, as Mark has always been talking about. We need more speed there. We need somebody else in the back who's got some speed in the
better athletes. Yeah. And again, listen, Drake London was a freak in this game. He was a beast. I mean, he got Carlton Davis on him, which was a good physical matchup between the two, and it was decent coverage. The guy's just good. The guy just he gets paid too, So, he made a play. So defensively, defensively, they're going to have to clean that up. Did they escape with the win, Joe?
Yes.
This defense.
Escape is the word.
Sure.
Definitely the word.
Yeah, they did, I think. But that's okay. I mean, listen, look, they weren't all going to be. Yeah, I'd rather, like Brable says, you'd rather learn in a loss than learn in a win. I'd rather learn in a win than learn in a loss. You don't want to.
Right.
Last year they would have lost that game.
Right.
So, tip the cat. I want to talk about, before we go to break, I want to talk about the trade deadline a little bit and what they didn't do. Because the Patriots trade deadline came and went. Patriots did nothing. This is what Vrabel had to say about it.
Well, first, I would say that deals are like being pregnant. You either are or you aren't. There's no, it's either a deal or it's not. So I don't know how close you can be. I know that everyone worked hard and that we investigated and looked in and made phone calls and what personnel departments do. And in the end, we decided that this was what we were going to do. No, I never really looked at it that way. I think we're trying to build a program, the same thing that we said when we got here. And I think that's part of building a program is finding ways to win and building a team and figuring out where the pieces are that we can continue to add that, when it makes sense. And so I don't think this is a negative. I don't think this is just where we're at. And, I know they worked extremely hard to make calls and have conversations. And in the end, we didn't do anything.
I love it. He mixes in a couple of words. What I like about him is he's got these are the facts sort of mentality, and this is what it is. But there are some elements of we and they in there, meaning he's not involved. You know what I mean? They
like the player personnel department,
right? Like who's they? The
little rat weasel, the little weasel, Elliot Wolf.
Give it. I was
gonna let that weasel do anything still. Oh my God, no! It can't be. It can't possibly be. That dude's getting coffee. That dude's getting coffee. He's talking about his guys Cowden and so on. That personnel department. Okay, so they don't do anything. Actually, no. They did something. They sold at the deadline. They traded Duggar and they traded Keon White. Okay, so but they added nothing. Literally nothing. Actually, they added Jerry Rice's kid.
Hey, I'm okay with that, and in any way, shape, or form.
Mark is too. Mark thinks Jerry Rice Sr. is going to be in the building teaching the wide receivers now. This is what he believes.
Yeah, I believe it. It. At least you get an in to get him there. You know what I mean?
So,
hey, you might ask your dad if he could come down.
Yeah,
talk to these receivers.
Hey, where's your dad? Hey, is dad going to be here today?
Your dad around today? Can he teach the whole team work ethic?
Yeah. I got my autograph pen.
Dude, I got that post, that 101 touchdown with Jerry Rice in the end zone.
Yeah.
I got to get him to sign that. See if his dad's around.
Just have his son sign it, sort of like that.
Yeah.
But anyway, do you got a problem with the fact that they didn't do anything at the deadline? That they didn't add anybody?
That's where I was kind of going with what Rabel was saying. He's like, it is what it is, In this situation,
Mark was fired up. Whoa.
Well, the thing is it's like, Rabel, say this to the press and your audience and the people watching your team play. Tell them, dude, either whoever's out there sucks, because I know that's going to be the other half of that. People are like, there's this guy out there, there's that guy out there. And they go, I will say this. Diggs was not one of those situations where everybody was on like eggshells when Diggs came in, right? Now he's turned out to be like this awesome, mature, but nobody was thinking that at the beginning. They were like, oh no, this is going to be a headache, a diva situation. And that's what you got out there in the league left over. You know what I mean? And I think that's what Vrabel's saying, but he can't really say, dude, they suck or they're not a fit for the team. But it's like, but you need to tell people that so they can understand, okay, I get what you mean. But, Diggs was one of those situations where he not necessarily was a fit for the team until he fit into the team. And it made it its thing, Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I listen. There's a few schools of thought, and I wanted to make sure that we talked a little bit about this. Okay, do you want to be the Washington? This is what I keep hearing this week is we don't want to turn into the Washington. I was going to say Washington Redskins, the Washington Commanders. We don't want to turn into that team. Okay, where last year they went from like 4 wins to NFC Championship game. Okay, and they made moves. They brought guys in. They brought Tunsil and they brought, the left tackle in. They definitely bought at the deadline. But now this season, they're towards the bottom of the league now. They're not playing well. They're not doing well. They're, and so they've given up draft picks and now, to get some of that last year. And now they maybe they regret it. Maybe they don't. And so people are like, well, we don't want to be that team. We don't want to just do buy and get rid of all our draft picks.
Right.
They covet these picks like they're, like they've drafted well in the last 5 years, and they've drafted like shit in the last 5 years, this team.
Right.
Now I get it's a new regime. I get it. But like, so where do I fall on each side of this? Like
the only saving grace, I think, from your perspective in the past, having been in the booth listening to both of you, is to me the idea of team and that the C word, the culture of what Vrabel's building. And when you build a team out, when you build an actual team instead of a Drake Maye's team or Diggs's team, it's like when you build the Patriots out all the way through and through, and they're all in the same element. When you bring an outside guy in the middle of what you just built the last 9 weeks, does that help or hurt the situation? Now you're starting over with somebody new that's got to get into the rhythm of what you guys have just fought to build, even though they're not.
But you goddamn professionals. You're a professional freaking football team. Like, this is what pisses me off. This isn't college. Like, listen, you're in a week right now. You're in a weak AFC. You got you're tied for the best record in the AFC. You're close to being tied for the best record in the NFL. Okay. There's a possibility you could get a first round bye. Like, this is the NFL. This isn't. You don't have years to build the program. You don't have years to do these things anymore. Like, it's a where are we today league.
Right.
If there was any league that was ever like that, this is the one. Okay. So I say, what's the harm? I mean, I'm not saying they should give up a first round, get rid of their first round, unless it's a guy like Brian Thomas Jr. down in Jacksonville, or a guy like that, or AJ Brown or Chase or somebody that's a splash that way.
Right.
Okay, fine. But I'm not saying give up your first pick of the draft, first round pick, give up your second round. I'm not even saying give up those. But you got 3 6-round picks. I think I want to say they got 2 fourth round picks, I think. But the point is, what's the matter with those? I watched Logan Wilson get traded for like a 5th rounder, something like that. 5th and a 6th rounder. What the hell? The linebacker from Cincinnati got traded. This is a guy that we could use. This is a guy that can go sideline to sideline. This guy plays in the backfield. This guy can cover tight ends. All the things that I bitch about that we don't do well. This is a guy that can do that with that. Now, maybe they weren't on him. Maybe Cincinnati didn't want to trade with him. I don't know. But like, I am not about, hey, we got to hold these picks because we're trying to build out this team. There's just not enough depth here. I mean, I get the argument. I understand it. But I don't buy it, and because I don't believe the whole Washington thing. So, I mean, you got to tell me that Washington's where they are because they traded for Tunsil. They gave up picks for a certain guy. Like, that's not why they are where they are today. Right. That's not what happened. They're where they are because their quarterback has been hurt 3 different times this season, Jaden Daniels. That's why they're in the position they're in. It's got nothing to do with holding on to draft picks. That's a bunch of bullshit, Joe.
No, I agree. But I also, going off the point that I was making, I think that what we've kind of established now, Vrabel, and it's due to Vrabel, the play caller, is that culture now. I hate using the word, but I don't know any other word to use.
But you can still. Why can't you still have the? Is your culture that weak? Is it that frail?
No. See, that's what I don't think it is. I think that the build is so. I sort of agree with you, and I think in this scenario, defense.
Well, you don't sound like you agree with me.
There definitely should have been some additions, But I think what most people do for most Patriot fans, they want to see action, right? So they're thinking, we want to
do something just to do it.
Do something to do it. We want a wide receiver. Go. We should be actively trying to find those.
Well, they should.
And they should. But are they out there? Are any one of those people available? We need a pass rusher. We need See if Judon. I'm sure he's still got the jersey. I'm sure he's still got the red. He's doing. You know
I got
them
now. He sent it to me.
He probably gave it to you.
You're absolutely right. Now, see, okay, so that brings up that point about Miami. See, because people said, well, Miami didn't want to deal with you, and neither did the Jets, and Tennessee didn't want to deal with you because Vrabel was fired, and the owner down there is still pissed off at him, so she doesn't want to deal with the Patriots because of that, blah blah, all that stuff. Okay, so the Jets weren't going to trade to you, Quentin Williams, the pass rusher, and they weren't going to trade. Not that we wanted Sauce Gardner, we don't need that, but right. You know, okay, were those the only teams that were trading guys?
Right.
You know, because there were some other moves made. I mean, you know, if you want to talk about the guys just the guys that did move in the league, well, how about the guys that didn't move? You know, I'm sure that there were some other guys that they could have called on teams, and maybe they did. But you can't have it both ways. You can't say, Joe, well, we covet these picks, okay? Therefore, we don't want to make any moves because we need to keep our draft picks so we can build our depth, and we're in year one. We're ahead of the game. We're ahead of where we thought we'd be anyway, so we're playing on borrowed money. So let you know, we don't need to be doing anything right now. We need to fill out this roster. You can't say that and then turn around and say, well, we tried. You know, these teams wouldn't trade with us, but we did try. We did make calls. Which one is it? It's either you made no calls because you want to keep the picks, or you did things and you fell short. I don't know. The bottom line is there are guys they could have had on this team, in my opinion.
Oh, yeah. Well, you know what? You know who's back in town? Antonio Brown is back in town.
Yeah, he's forcefully.
I mean, what's he doing?
Yeah, they extradited him back. Get him on this team. That's it. Put him on. Get a good lawyer and bring him on.
Have him call Corso. Corso Law Group.
Will represent him. And
get him over here.
Get him over here. But I don't know. I wanted to go. I'm on a rant on this because I look at it and say, look, add what you can add. What you can add. I mean, like if your pass rush needs work, your middle linebackers your off-ball guys need help, the safeties need help. There are guys, do it. Find a way.
Yeah.
I'm not. You're going to tell me you're that worried about 6-round picks?
Right. And the
well, let's look and see. Okay, so hey, Booty and Douglas are 6-round picks. You want to give them up? Well, yeah, for a good for you know, like.
See, the problem with somebody like that is like Douglas has been having a couple of exceptional moments in the last couple of games. I don't want to say exceptional games, but exceptional moments in the last few games where that idea of going, get rid of him.
Right.
They lose that idea because of something like that. Because he's looking good now. Maybe he'll be a thing. An element for our receiving core, and you go, no, get rid of him, get Brown in here, or you know, somebody catch them.
So I know I went long on that. We can't have. We're going to skip Catone's comments today. That was Catone. That was my rant. Then I'll go ahead. But look, honestly, like I really think they dropped the ball. You know, not to cross sports, but Boston Red Sox did the same nonsense. They didn't bring guys in at the trade deadline. They didn't bring in the pitcher. They didn't do the things that we thought they could do, and they fell short in the playoffs because of it. Why are you punting on the season? Make your roster better. And by the way, don't you talk to me about culture. If not you, but don't you out there talk to me about culture. Like if your culture is that frail on your team that it can't withstand bringing in a new player, that it's going to fracture the locker room and upset people, then it isn't much to begin with, in my opinion. It isn't much anyway, you know. So I think they missed an opportunity, Joe. I really do, to get a little better. I'm not saying splash huge better, but they missed an opportunity to make their defense better or their running back room better, and they needed to do that. They didn't do it. Let's see if it bites them in the ass now. Okay, so
hopefully not. But.
Weekly rewind. That diatribe was presented By who the hell we presented by? The Pats Nation, Sundays, 8 a.m. Eastern. Listen, tomorrow we're going to have our pregame breakdown of that Tampa game, that trip to Tampa, and that all-important game to see how they fare against a winning operation. So make sure you're sticking around for that. When we come back, I want to talk Bruins, Celtics, B's and C's is next.
Sundays are for football. And here in New England, that means it's the Pats Nation with Corso and Catone. Sundays, 8 to 9 a.m.
Back in with more Corso and Catone, the real deal New England feel. All right, let's talk Bruins. Let's talk Celtics. B's, C's, Joe.
Hit it! The Boston Celtics are the world champions, and they have shown the world how great a ball club they really are. Screen shot,
Okay, Joe. So let's talk about the Bruins first. This is the team. I teased it at the beginning, talking about, teams going in different directions.
On the Bruins. Who? The what?
Yeah, who? Let's not talk about. But I'll tell you who. Winners of 5 in a row. That's who.
Wow.
Yes, that's correct. They won 5 in a row. Okay. Right now they're sitting at, let me give you the updated. They're sitting at 18 points, 2 behind. Let's go to the conference here. Let's see what that is. Yeah, they're 2 behind the conference lead. Okay. 2 points behind, which is basically 1 win. New Jersey. No, it's very early, obviously. But it's obviously a far cry from what we thought this team was going to be so far, which was just a terrible, horrible team. And by the way, do they know how to tank? I mean, because we said, is this a team that's going to be tanking for draft picks? Because in the NHL, if you tank for picks and do all that, you're basically looking at a 6-7 year drought.
Yeah.
You're not going to suck.
How to tank these days, I mean,
so if they are trying to tank, they're doing that poorly.
Well, I'm going to ask you this then. What do you think is the reason? Is it their coach? Tell us about him. Is he the reason they're doing well?
Marco Sturm. So it's funny because at the beginning of the year, I'm like, this guy's a friggin' clown. Like they just found the first clown they could find, a puppet to bring on this team, and mean, he's basically like Mike Felton calls him Gerard
Godfrey from the picture I'm looking at over here.
He does, yeah. and he was said that he was like basically the Gerard Mayo, 1 and out, a 1 year guy,
Right.
However, I will say this to his credit. He's a guy that's not scared of changing things up, mixing things up. I credit some of the success they've had to some of the changes he's made. He took some line changes, where he's put, he's just switched up some of the lines, like the McAvoy line.
That was one of his focuses, right? The defense, right?
Yeah, and again, I think that he's made some good line changes, especially like I said with the defense. Okay, and that seemed to help. That seemed to change things as to what was happening. So I like what he's done there. And the other thing he's done is he's benched some guys too. He's not afraid to say you're down, you're benched. Like Lori, for example. We bitched about him a couple of weeks ago, talking about how weak his stick side was, allowing that breakaway goal, to happen. Well, he hasn't seen the ice since.
Now, you've been talking about like the professionalism of professional players in all sports. And do you think that calling out some players, Belichick used to do the same thing. And do you think that's detrimental to the player and team, or that's sort of the purpose of them getting better?
Yeah, and by the way, the McAvoy's the door off line. Well, he's not doing it in the public. He's not doing it in the media. And Belichick didn't do it in the media. I mean, they're not calling guys out in the media saying like this guy playing like shit, so I'm benching him. I mean, he's just doing it with his movement. So I mean, he goes and he benches Lori. You haven't seen him since. It's a message to the team that basically says, We got to play tougher than that. We got to be better than that. That's not how we do things here, And they're responding. They're definitely responding to what he's, And again, he doesn't seem to worry about that. Right. I guess maybe he looks at himself and say, "Hey, look, if I'm gonna go down, I'm gonna go down swinging. Yeah, I'm gonna do everything I can to put this team in a position to win."
You always hear,
and he did it with Swayman too. He basically benched Swayman for a while. Swayman was letting in some really weak, soft goals at the beginning of the season.
Swayman, no.
Yeah, he's been playing better. I thought in the last game, I thought against Ottawa, they ended up winning 3-2. I think it was Ottawa. He allowed a pretty soft goal to me at the top of the at the blue line goal that he should have seen. I didn't like that. I was very unhappy about that. But I think I'm the only one watching these games anymore.
Right.
But
that's the point. So sometimes that is the point. We talk about that. No, I'm being serious because we talk about that with the Patriots, Celtics, and it's one of those things where you go, that's the point. That's
right.
Why you need to get those certain guys, those certain players on the team, because you need to fill the seats and it's still a television show.
Yeah. Yeah. Yes.
You gotta it's gotta look good. The show's gotta look good all the time,
So, they're winning, they're playing well. Let's see how long that goes. But I think we're gonna have a season here. Let's hope. I really want to have a season. I want them to be relevant. I want them to be good.
Always, like you guys say all the time, they'll make it to the playoffs and then we won't see them anymore. But hopefully that's not true this time.
And then on the other side, with the Boston Celtics, earlier in the week, I had to play this.
What happened on that play where you got tripped or were tripped, and how much did that frustrate you the rest of that way?
Man, y'all gonna get me fines because you can't have a mistake like that as an official at that point in the game. It's fourth quarter, it's a minute left in the game or less, and the whole staff blows the fucking call. You know what I mean? Cost us a game, unacceptable. You can make mistakes at any point at a game, but right there, that wasn't good. That wasn't good. That's unacceptable. And then they telling me we didn't see it. How none of you see it? You can't trip somebody in the fourth quarter and then just be a no call. It's some bullshit.
Yeah, we can play it on a show. They bleeped it on every other show. We're playing it on this show. I don't care.
Yeah, why not?
Listen, that was against Utah earlier in the week. Yeah, it was a blatant blown call. I mean,
Now, let me ask you, is that blatant calls, but is that a Band-Aid for them struggling to shoot and rebound?
Thank you.
Is it real? You know what I mean?
Thank you, Joe. No, it's not real. If they make that call, okay, he hits both his free throws, which isn't a guarantee with Brown, but he hits both his free throws. Now the Celtics are up 3 instead of 1. Okay? Mark, Joe, they shot 11 for 51 from 3-point land in that game.
Right.
I mean, process that for a minute. That sucks.
I stopped processing it because I still think that it's look. All right, if you wanted three, and then, to me, it's okay, if you want to do that, fine, great. Because the analytics is there. Okay, I understand, but move.
I don't
move. Make movement. They all just stand around the 3-point line, just stand there and wait for somebody to do something. It's you're not watching. We're watching the game, not you guys. You're playing it. Do something. Move. Make some movement. And then kick the ball out and let him shoot. Because that's usually when they'll hit it. Not when it's just you got a free throw from the 3-point line over here. It's still they got
listen, just because they're open shots doesn't mean they're good shots.
Right.
Okay. So you're seeing some of these 3-pointers they're shooting, and he gets pissed off at the media for asking him these questions.
Mm-hmm.
I listened to that bullshit that he talked about several weeks ago that, we look for the 2-on-1s.
Yeah.
Why do you keep asking me this question?
They don't create 2-on-1s.
They don't create 2-on-1s. Thank you. Where the hell are their 2-on-1s? I mean, I know we're over, but whatever. You know what I mean? Where are their 2-on-1s being created? Because they're not. And against Orlando last night, Same kind of stuff. I mean, look. Last night was a different issue. Last night was we can't defend without fouling. Every time they tried to defend something, they they created a foul. They were in the bonus. Orlando was with nine or 10 minutes in the fourth quarter left in the game, and now they're shooting free throws. It changes completely the way you play defense when you allow yourself to do that. So is it a talent issue, or is it just the coach is they're not being put in the proper positions to succeed? Because obviously when Minot starting with Cada in there, they got better. They got better on the boards. They're matching teams now on the boards. I mean, they're still giving up offensive rebounds at key spots when they shouldn't, you know. But I just, and I know we got to go, but I it's just
get somebody like Pritchard to me, who is one of the heart of the team. When he starts to slump, and people don't look at that, when he's
playing a different role. I mean, he's now starting.
When somebody like him slumps, he's the pickup. He's one of those guys that picks the momentum up, and people don't realize how important that is. And then when that type of dude starts to slip a little, everybody kind of just lays back and just kind of allows it to fizzle out. And it's like, no, you're the Celtics.
My problem is they're not good enough anymore. The shooters are not good enough anymore. Okay, I get it. They're built for three-pointers. Pritchard, Hauser, White. These are three-point shooters. They're not shooting well right now. Pritchard's playing in a starting role when he wasn't before. It's not coming off the bench anymore. It's different, okay? And so they're not hitting their shots. I get all that. But you're just not good enough underneath anymore. You're not good enough in the front court, rebounding. The spacing's got to be better. If the spacing was better against Orlando was willing to give you things, but you didn't space them well at all in this game. And so, again, it's a combination of talent and coaching. But if this clown is going to continue to keep saying, oh, we're searching to two-on-ones, that's it. That's all we're going to do. As long as I'm here, that's how we're going to play. Well, I'm not seeing it. I don't see that. All I see is a lot of chucking up threes, missing them, and shooting bad percentages, and you're going to lose every single time you're doing that. Last night was a little different, but that's what happened in the Utah game, in my opinion. It wasn't about that call, but it was a bad call. So,
Live by the three, die by the three.
This Corso and Catone, I know we're over. So Corso and Catone was presented by the Pats Nation, Sundays, 8 a.m. Eastern. Tomorrow, going to have our full pregame breakdown of the Bucs game. Make sure you're tuning into that Sunday spread. We're going to make you a little bit of money. See what Joe's got on Sunday spread. If you like some of my picks, we'll see. And come back next weekend, noon Eastern, to this show. We're going to talk more Patriots, including our recap of the Bucs and the Jets game that's happening Thursday night. We're going to have a game in between shows here on Thursday night, which we won't be airing until after that. So we'll be breaking down both the Bucs and the Jets game next week. Anything you bring to the table, we will be ready. We are Corso and Catone and Joe. See you next Saturday.
Now find Corso and Catone on AM 790, The Score, iHeartRadio, iTunes, wherever you podcast. Or subscribe to the YouTube channel and catch the chaos every Saturday at noon.